Hello, my name is Emily Shooten. I am doing a presentation for the Conestoga TESL003 online learning course, Structure and Sounds of English. This is for the assignment 1, the pronunciation lesson. The rationale, the point of this lesson is learning how to place emphasis on the proper focus word of a given phrase. With proper words emphasized, the speaker will sound more fluent and can develop more confidence in their English abilities. This lesson will continue to build on a theme of travel, as so many of our students in this class have demonstrated an interest in travel, an interest in potentially living or traveling to another country, and so many of them are from other cultures, and it's such a varied difference that it's a good base for all of us to sort of learn from each other. I will make a point to remind the students, again, as I already have, that we want to be respectful of all cultures present. Discussing travel, I believe, in a respectful and secure environment is an excellent way to expose our students to cultures that may not be familiar with and are different from their own, so it's a great learning experience. As a teacher, I would take a moment again to remind our students that we are going to steer away from explicit topics such as heavy drinking, nudity, or even sunbathing, so that even if a student themselves are comfortable with those topics and their culture is fine with that, there may be other people from other cultures that are not comfortable with that, and we do need to be respectful of all students as a whole. I will make a point to remind the students again, as we started, and I will stress that even if they are comfortable with this topic, and not everybody else will be. The previous knowledge that the students have been exposed to is the difference between a content word and a structure word, or the grammar. This will also be reviewed in our warm-up or our schemata at the beginning of this lesson. The students have already discussed travel in several classes before this one. They will have studied vocabulary related to travel, especially verbs such as doing, seeing, eating, and action verbs related to travel. Attached to this, I've provided not only my presentation summary and the handout that I'll be referring to, I've also provided the slides that I was intending to use. I just don't have a computer that I can attach my computer to, so that's why I'm using the paper version. But if you prefer, you can follow along with the slides that I've attached. Okay, so here's my lesson. All right, class. Let's begin today by reviewing what we learned in the last class. Today's class we are focusing on focus words, but before we move into that, we're going to review what the difference is between a content and a function word. Can anybody tell me? That's right. A content word is the meaning. Thank you, Annie. And the content words are they're the meat and potatoes of the sentence. So they are the main verbs, the adverbs, the nouns, the adjectives, and the WH questions. So why, who, what, where, when, how. And these are the ones that we would place more emphasis on in the sentence. So, can anybody tell me about a structure word? Thank you very much. The structure words are sort of the grammar, the connecting words. I'm not saying at all that they're not important, but we just place less emphasis on these words than the content words. So the structure words or the connecting words are the prepositions, participles, the subjects, the helping verbs. So those are the ones that when you listen to a sentence, they have a slight less emphasis. The sentence sort of dips down, your voice gets a little bit softer, and then you spend less time on that word. All right. Class, let's begin by reviewing finding the content words in some sample phrases. I have provided you with your handout. This is what we'll be working off of today. Please turn to this handout, and for now you're only going to do numbers 1 through 5. You may work in partners for this, and please, what we will do is circle the content words and underline the structure words. Okay? Thank you. So after about 5 to 10 minutes, the students will have finished working through the 5 sentences here, and now we're going to take them up. So to demonstrate the point of a focus word, let's first take up the difference between content words and structure words. But first, may I ask, can anyone summarize from last class why correct emphasis is so important? That's great, Annie. Content words lead your listener to the meaning you are trying to say. If you were to emphasize every word, it would overwhelm the listener. You would sound like you were yelling. So today we're going to learn which of the content words is our focus word. A focus word, there is only one focus word in each sentence. Each phrase, sentence, question, exclamation can have many content words, but will only have one focus word. This will receive the strongest emphasis of all our content words. Now, let's just backtrack a little bit. Let's review the difference between a content word and a structure word. I'm going to write this on the board, and we're going to find the content and the structure words. Okay, so this sentence, can we say it together? Tell me about your travel plans. Excellent, thank you. So can we pick out the content words? Excellent, thank you. I'm going to circle the content words. Tell, good. Good. Thank you. And plans. Thank you. So these are the meat and potatoes. They're the verbs, the adjectives, and the verbs. So, and then can we underline the structure words? Thank you. So these are the sort of, they're not important, we still say them, but they just receive less emphasis, these structure words. So let's say them together, focusing more emphasis on the content words. Tell me about your travel plans. Excellent, thank you. Now, listen one more time as I say this again. Tell me about your travel plans. Do you hear the difference as I say put more emphasis on those content words? Excellent, thank you. Now, I'm going to say it one more time and just listen very carefully. I'm going to say, tell me about your travel plans. So you see that I'm spending more time on those content words. They're longer, they are a little bit louder, and they stretch out a bit more. Okay? Thank you. Now, to demonstrate why we need to emphasize properly, if I were to say this with all of the words emphasized, that would be incorrect. Tell me. If I say it like this, tell me about your travel plans. Does this sound correct? No, I sound angry. And it sounds, there's no difference between any of the words. It's hard to hear the difference in them, and it's almost like a different language. It doesn't translate even into somebody who speaks English. So having content words properly emphasized helps the listener to understand the message more clearly, because the words that are more important stand out. Okay. So now that we understand why correct emphasis is so important, let's learn the rules for determining the focus word. I'm just going to put the difference between content words and structure words up here. So, rules for a focus word. There are 3 rules to determining which words in a sentence or a phrase or a question are a focus word. The first rule, the focus word will always be a content word. You will not have a focus word that is a structure, a supporting verb, a participle, or a subject. Now, the second rule is that if, in most cases, the focus word will be the last content word in a phrase. And the third rule is, if the phrase comes later in a conversation or a speech or a bunch of talking, then the focus word is the new information. So I've got some sentences made up, and we're going to practice with these words. Okay. All right, so we're going to practice. If you refer to your handout, as we were going through our lesson, there were some of them. We've already identified the content words and the structure words. We are now going to break each one down and find the one focus word in each sentence. So, if I look at question number 1, the question was, do you hate waiting in airports? So, if I write first, let's find the content words, shall we? Thank you. So, is do a content word? No, thank you very much. It's a helping verb, so that does not count as a content word. How about you? No, thank you very much. Hate, yes. Hate is a content word. Waiting, yes, is a content word. No, not a in is not a content word, but airports is. So, if we look at our rules for content words, it's going to be a focus word, we know that. And in this case, we don't have a sentence before it to dictate. It's not part of a speech or conversation. So we're looking for the last content word. So yes, it would be airports. I'm going to highlight like this to designate a focus word. So in this sentence, in sentence number 1 of our practice, airports is the focus word. Let us work again with question 2. So the question said, can we read it together? We plan to travel to Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam on our trip through Asia. So, again, the content words were plan, travel, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, trip, Asia. So again, in this there is no sentence before it. It's not a part of a speech. So we're looking for the last content word. So in question number 2, practice number 2, the focus word would be Asia. Did we all understand? Excellent, thank you. So question number 2 is the continuation of that sentence. So the sentence said, we plan to travel to Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam on our trip through Asia. Question 2 says, wow, that's so interesting. How long will you be in Asia? Okay, so now we can use number 3, the rule number 3. And it says, if the phrase is later in the conversation, the focus word is the new information. Can you tell me what the new information is in the sentence here? Somebody? Thank you very much, Johnny. The new information is the length of time. The second speaker is asking you what the length of time. They've already talked about Asia. They've talked about the trip. The new information is the length of time. So long is the focus word. Let's practice this together. Wow, that's so interesting. How long will you be in Asia? Do you hear how there was more emphasis on it? And it drew your attention to that word as the most important word in our sentence? Let's try question number 3. We will be in Asia for 6 weeks. Can we tell me what the new information is here? Because again, we're following with number 3. Thank you, Sam. We will be in Asia for 6 weeks. The number 6 is the new information here. This is the new information for this sentence, so that's what the listener is now looking for, is to bring them up to speed on what is most important in this phrase. Okay. Let's continue practicing. I'm going to work from the board from here. Oh, that one doesn't work. Okay, let's read this aloud together. My trip to Europe was fantastic. Can you tell me what again, we don't know of a sentence beforehand that tells us anything about it, so it's not part of a speech or conversation. So we're following rule number 2. In most cases, the focus word will be the last content word. So can you tell me? Very good, Violet. The last content word is fantastic. Let's try this together. My trip to Europe was fantastic. So that's the last information. That's the one where you end on it with a final note. Because it's the last content word, it's the focus word. Let us try with question number 4. Okay. Now let's read this question together. It's question 5 from your practice. I'm so happy to hear that because we are planning to go to Europe next year. So it is now continuing from this sentence before. Two people are having a conversation. So because it's part of a speech, which rule do we follow? Very good, James. We follow rule number 3. The phrase is later in the conversation, so we're looking for the new information. Can you tell me what the new information is? Excellent. Thank you very much, James. Again, the new information happens to be the last word, content word. Year, next year, really, technically here it's the whole phrase, next year, but it is still at the end of the sentence. It is also, however, the new information that it's going next year. That's the new part of the sentence. So, as we can see, what have we learned today? Excellent. There are content words. There are several content words in each sentence, but there's one focus word that will receive the most focus on you. It will be the emphasis, and that will be the message you're conveying to your listeners, to your buddy, your teacher, your friend, whoever you're speaking with. That last word is the one that has the most emphasis. And then that way they can pick up on those cues. And they can hear your message much clearer, concisely, and it'll help you be more clearly understood as you're speaking in a conversation. Okay, now it's time to practice again. We're going to, the next part of today's class will be to continue on your handout. Numbers 6 through 14. Go ahead and highlight the focus words in each sentence. Thank you very much. And TESL Conestoga, thank you very much for listening. That is the beginning of my pronunciation lesson. If you have any questions, please email me, and thank you for listening.